we don't know by now, might as well say we at war. Hope you're having a great Sunday morning. Hope you're having a great Sunday morning. We didn't get to watch UFC last night, which sucks. But the good news is, can rewatch it. So, which I don't think I'll do that. Just wait till next week because they got a big event. My old training buddies, Charles Oliveira, will be fighting next week. So we'll just wait on that. No big deal. We got bigger fish to fry. What is that, Stock Sniper? We got this war we got to discuss. We talked about it last night. We got to talk about it again today. I think another leader ended up getting unalived overnight. So we're going to react to different newscasts, particularly the one that's overseas, because in my opinion, this news outlet gives a little bit more information than what CNN and Fox, would give us. So I like watching the news and these people that are overseas to get different perspectives, because those are the ones that's really going to fill in the blank. CNN and Fox, I watch them, but I take, what they say kind of in a grain of salt, because they mostly going to speak on each other. You know what I'm saying? That's how they're going to do it. But when you watching the overseas news, it's basically a fill in the blank, give you a better understanding of what's going on in America and in the world. So we're going to react to this. I appreciate y'all for joining. We're at the 2-minute mark. I am your host, the one and only Stock Sniper, and we're going to see what's going on today on this Sunday. It's a busy Sunday. It's a busy Sunday overseas. It's really, really, really busy. So a lot going on. How is Iran going to handle this? That's what we're going to know. How is the rest of the world going to handle this? A lot of world leaders don't like what happened, don't like how America and Israel is handling this. And, everybody got their own opinion, but the thing is what's going to happen next. What's going to happen next? That's what we have to really think about. So let me know in the comment section what you really think about this. The death toll has reached over 200 now. So we're going to be looking at it from different angles, going to different media outlets on this show just to see what's going on around the world. So I'm trying to get everything set up now. I think I'm going to go over here first. But I just can't say it enough. In America, we kind of got it easy right now. We don't have to worry about like what they're worrying about. And hold up, we're going to go and start right now. Let me go and start it. Let me quit running my mouth. Here we go, chat.
Suspended. At its narrowest point, the Strait of Hormuz is about 33 kilometers wide, but its shipping lanes are even narrower. Iran controls the north side of the strait, while Oman controls the south. An estimated 20% of the world's oil is transported through the waterway. China takes the vast majority of Iran's crude exports. Around 45% of its total crude imports transit the Strait of Hormuz. Qatar also depends heavily on the strait to export its liquefied natural gas. 83% of the LNG that passes through the strait heads to Asia, including China. Even Australia could be affected. Around 30% of its refined oil effectively passes through the Strait of Hormuz. Now, closing it could potentially remove more than 17 billion barrels of oil from the global market, driving up prices and straining energy supplies. Nara Habibi is a professor of practice in the economics of the Middle East at Brandeis University. He's joining us live from Boston. Thank you very much indeed for being with us. This will be an oversimplification of a very complex situation. But if Iran controls at least half of the Strait of Hormuz, why is it that it hasn't before now chosen to close it and use that leverage?
I think it's for strategic reasons and concern about
That's a good one.
retaliation.
Kevin Jackson, I like
because
that.
it knows that the United
Bet
States
Trump
has
won't
enough
send Barron
military
over
assets to either respond strongly or
Yeah,
to
he ain't gonna send Barron
neutralize
ain't going
that
to the
threat,
military, guys. We can
although
cut
it would
that
be
out.
very difficult.
That's not going to
And
happen.
I think, as you mentioned, there would be
You're
disruptions to export of oil through Hormuz, but
Yeah,
I'm not
you're
sure
right.
it can be brought completely to
Jackson.
halt, given the capacity that Iran has.
Barron is not going.
Now, I was just reading that
nowhere.
there's a worst-case
but to a
scenario
college
that some
somewhere.
experts have put forward. They're suggesting that if indeed that there was either significant limitation on transport through the Strait of Hormuz or a closure altogether, oil market prices could surge from about 72 barrels now to about $100 a barrel. I should say $72 a barrel, I beg your pardon, to about $100 a barrel. That, of course, wouldn't just affect markets in China. It would also possibly have a knock-on effect to other developed economies, such as the US, for example. So given that, what is the risk, do you think, in the event that the Strait of Hormuz, that for whatever reason, does end up being closed and becomes, at least if nothing else, a choke point?
Yes, I think, as you mentioned,
that,
the crude oil market is a global market, so definitely.
If you look on the screen, on top of that man on the far right, it looks like it's been a bomb hit somewhere. Just imagine, chat, you ride down the road in every state and city you live in, and all of a sudden in America, you start seeing these missiles hit buildings. That's in Dubai, a beautiful place, getting attacked right now as we speak. But I think I'm going to move over here, chat. I think I'm going to move it over here. But just think about it, Chad. We don't have to worry about that in America as of right now.
When he had meetings and developed just what his styles were. Same thing for the supreme leader. We had to develop that pattern of life and his routines. Because, one thing that these autocratic leaders, these despots do is they know they're being tracked, and so they try to change a routine. If we can get them in a routine, that's what we want to do. We want to find that. And that's really what brought it to a head yesterday, is when they started to see that we're on this pattern and we can stay here for the next few hours. That opened up that strike window. So knowing what they're going to do, when they're going to do it, where they're going to do it, and how is an extensive across the intelligence community effort to tie that into military. And then when you find that sweet spot, you've got to be prepared to act. And that's exactly what happened yesterday.
And it's interesting because you mentioned Maduro. We're talking about his capture in January. Now in February, you have the killing there of Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Of course, happening on the last day of February, but you've seen that kind of play out throughout the last couple months where you have these leaders that are either taken out or captured by the U.S. So we'll keep, obviously, an eye on that situation and everything relating to this. We are expecting there's the potential that we could get a Q&A with President Trump later on today. If that is the case, we're going to make sure to bring it to everyone who's watching us here on Live Now from Fox in full and commercial-free.
That's good to hear.
Mark, thank you for being here and helping to break everything down, as always. Is there anything that
Trump is going to come out and talk to us later and take questions? I can't wait. So this live right here ain't going to be long, Chad. So now we know that Trump is going to come out sometime today and talk to the nation and talk to the world and take questions. So make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit on the notification bells, Chad, because we will be going live, reacting and covering when Trump goes live and answer questions today. So, and of course, this is the Freedom of Speech channel. So you can comment and speak your mind. Long as, of course, you got to be respectful. We all know that. Freedom of speech, you got to be respectful. You got to have intelligent. You got to, write and comment, and like you got some kind of intelligence, and it's all good. So later today, I will be going live again, chat. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit on the notification bell. Since we know now Trump is going live, this stream is not going to be that long. I'm going to make this stream probably about another. It's crazy that Congress voted to approve this war. Oh, I didn't know that, Proof Oak 22, thank you for joining. I didn't know that Congress, I didn't know that Congress approved the war. Thank you for the information, bro. Thank you for the information. I didn't know that. See, that's why I love about the chat. That's why this is the Freedom of Speech channel. You got guys come in and let us know what's going on. I didn't know that Congress already approved this war. It was people on the live last night saying that attack was not approved, but we got other people coming in and saying that it was. So we gotta be aware of that, So we got to check that out too to make sure that they did approve it, because I haven't heard that Congress did not approve this war. So we're getting mixed emotions about what different people think, So that's why it's good to make sure you find out on your own, because last night somebody said it wasn't approved. Now Proof Oak, which comes on here real regularly, he said that it was approved. So we got to see. I haven't heard anybody talk about it, so we got to see. Look it up. Yeah, we're gonna check it out. It was sarcasm. They go, okay. You just okay. I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying now. Proof Oak. You was throwing in a joke early this morning. I'm an old man. Understand? You know what I'm saying? I'm an old man, so you got to be a little bit, understand I'm an old man. So Stephen Williams was right. But yeah, guys, I appreciate y'all for joining. This is not going to be a long live. We're going to wait and come back later when Trump comes and answer questions. That's what we're going to do. So we're going to watch a little bit of this because we're already in the middle of a show, and we're going to, I want to know more what the people think. You know what I'm saying? So comment. Let's go. Thank y'all for joining me, chat. Appreciate y'all for joining. Hope everybody's having a great morning. Hope everybody having a great Sunday morning. I'm having an amazing Sunday morning.
We missed anything that you want to make sure to add here before I let you go?
Well, Josh, you're quite welcome. And just a couple of things to put this in perspective. This is not a one and done military operation. We're facing off with an adversary who has created so much hate and discontent, doesn't even cover it, but so much destabilizing effect. They hate America. They have called us the great Satan for 40 something years. They have killed thousands of Americans. We need to understand, really, while this seems dramatic in its effort and in the strikes that are taking place right now, it is finally going to end, hopefully, after several days or weeks of strikes, a reign of terror that has negatively affected the United States, its people, killed our brothers and sisters in uniform for 40 something years. So we're taking actions now. I think the legacy that we're about to leave is a legacy of peace, a legacy of stability after all this turmoil gets through in the Middle East, something 2 generations haven't seen for a while, Josh. So I think we need to look at that and be prepared, be alert inside the United States, because what does happen there, let's please be alert here. And I just want to leave your audience with that kind of information.
Place.
All right, Mark, as always, thank you so much for being here with us, especially this early on a Sunday. We appreciate it.
You're welcome, Josh.
Look at that chat. Israel.
Thank you.
Very, very
and of
beautiful
course, we
place.
are getting a lot of reaction that is coming in. This is from China's Ministry of Foreign Affairs spokesperson. This, again, just coming into the newsroom, as it says the attack and killing of Iran's supreme leader is a grave violation of Iran's sovereignty and security. It tramples on the purposes and principles of the United Nations Charter and basic norms in international relations. China firmly opposes and strongly condemns it. We urge for an immediate stop to the military operations, no further escalation of the tense situation, and joint effort to maintain peace and stability in the Middle East and the world at large. Again, countries reacting. Of course, China is an ally there of Iran, so not really surprising to get that statement there. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs for Qatar saying Qatar strongly condemns Iranian attacks on the port in Oman and oil tanker off of its coast in Doha. The state of Qatar strongly condemns the Iranian attacks that targeted the commercial port in the sisterly Sultanate of Oman and an oil tanker off its coast. Qatar describes the attacks as a violation of the sovereignty, an unacceptable escalation, and a cowardly targeting of a country playing an active mediating role between the Islamic Republic of Iran and the international community to defuse the crisis
gotta go over
and
here,
promote
Chad.
constructive dialogue
Hold
to
on.
resolve outstanding issues.
Succession that is in place will be safe in the future.
Mohammed Val talking to us there from Tehran. Thank you very much indeed. Let me just remind you about our breaking news. The U.S. is saying that 3 U.S. service members have been killed in action
military
as
soldiers
part of the Iran operation. That is
unalive,
quoting
Chad.
CENTCOM, which is the central command for the
May
U.S.,
God
which
bless their
is
soul.
operating in this region and which is playing a large role in
3
the
soldiers
U.S.
unalive.
military's operations in Iran. We're going to bring in our White House correspondent, Kimberly Halkett. Talk to us about this latest news, the fact that these service people have been killed as part of this operation.
Well, the U.S. President Donald Trump did indicate that he expected there would be loss of life, and now the Central Command confirming this in a statement coming out of the press office there that, in fact, 3 U.S. service members have been killed, 5 have been seriously wounded as a result of Operation Epic Fury. But anyone who has been following this online knows that there has been extensive video showing the different U.S. military interests in the Middle East and those attacks that have been taking place as Iran has retaliated for the U.S. strike in Iran. What we know is that there have been a number of postings that have been also put online where service members have shared the video where there have been people falling and ducking and covering as those alerts have been put out.
Kimberly, thank you very much. Obviously, we're going to be checking up on those details and coming back to you as we find out some more. For now, Kimberly Halkett, thank you very much indeed. Now, people in Beirut have been mourning the death of Ali Khamenei. The supreme leader held a significant religious influence over Shia Muslims in Lebanon.
Of course, with sadness, sorrow, and grief, because they have attacked the highest authority. There is no one after the Sayyid. There is no higher rank, no higher position, the father of the poor, the needy, and of the revolutions.
We have a doctrine called Ahlul Bayt, called sacrifice. That is, no matter how many great leaders we have lost, such as Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah and Imam Ali Khamenei, this only increases our determination.
It is 1500 hours GMT, 6 o'clock here in Doha. This is Al Jazeera with continuing coverage of the joint Israeli and US attacks on Iran. Hello, I'm Adrian Finnegan. This news just coming into us. The US military command has posted on X over the last few minutes that 3 service members have been killed and 5 are seriously wounded. It's added that several others sustained minor shrapnel injuries and concussion, and they're in the process of being returned to duty. Major combat operations continue, and the response effort is ongoing. Meanwhile, Iran's president says that it will leave its enemies, quote, hopeless. That's the warning from President Masoud Pezeshkian, who was speaking for the first time since Israel and the US began their attack. It follows the assassination of the supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, on Saturday. Well, Iran's foreign minister told Al Jazeera that Tehran will not bow down and has the right to defend itself. Abbas Araghchi also said that the actions of Israel and the US will not lead to regime change in Iran.
I have talked with our military leaders and military commanders to be careful about the targets they choose. But again, this is not something against Oman, this is not something against Qatar, this is not something against any other neighbor country. This is against American targets. And we are not in charge of this problem. It is not our fault. We are under attack. They have to explain why they decided to attack us, why they decided to go in this act of aggression. And then if the attacks are stopped and there is enough explanation, we will consider how to react.
Israel has continued its strikes for a second day, saying that it's targeting ballistic missile and aerial defense systems. Thick clouds of smoke engulfed residential areas in Iran's capital as many looked for shelter. Israel says its objective is to hit the heart of the city. Iran's Red Crescent says that areas around its headquarters and 3 hospitals were struck. Well, Iran has retaliated by targeting the central city of Beit Shemesh in Israel, killing at least 9 people. At least 57 others have been injured, and emergency teams are at the scene. Israel's military says that it's investigating why its air defense system failed to intercept the missiles. We have a team of correspondents covering this breaking news for us in Tehran, in Washington, D.C., Ramallah, in the occupied West Bank, and in Brussels. Let's first, though, go to Washington. Our White House correspondent, Kimberly Halkett, joins us from there. Kimberly, what more can you tell us about this breaking news? The U.S. Military Central Command posting on X that 3 U.S. service members have been killed.
Yeah, according to my military source, what I can tell you is that in addition to the fact that there have been 3 that have been killed, there are 5 others, at least, that have been wounded as a result of Operation Epic Fury. What we know is that there have been a number of U.S. interests that have sustained attacks in the last 24 hours. And what we are also aware of is that there have been many injuries, some as a result of shrapnel, but also we know that there have been some concussions as a result of blast injuries, and that the United States is dealing with that some may be temporarily removed from duty and in order to have those injuries assessed. Now, what we know with respect to those that have been killed is that the United States is not releasing their identities. They believe that it will take some time in order to notify their families. So as a result, the U.S. not releasing the names of those that have been killed as a result of Iran's retaliation to Operation Epic Fury. But what we do know is that the U.S. president was warning Americans that this would be the case, that there would potentially be loss of life. And now we are having our first reports that it has indeed been the case.
Tell us something about the reaction there to the death of Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei.
Well, what I can tell you is that many Americans were waking up to this news, not aware that it had occurred late in the evening, their time. So given the fact that this is a weekend, a lot of Americans still trying to comprehend what this would mean for them, but recognizing that this is, in fact, a serious escalation, that the United States is involved in a conflict that, according to polling data, most Americans don't want. And that's why we know that the United States Congress, at least Democrats and independents for the most part, are actively working to rein in the president's authority as he continues to conduct this operation, not only with efforts in the House as well as the U.S. Senate to pass legislation that would require a debate as well as a vote, but also seeing that this can be escalated in terms of this being discussed. So we expect this to happen in the next 2 or 3 days. Even if it passes, however, we expect the U.S. president will veto any effort to limit his power.
White House correspondent Kimberly Halkett reporting live from Washington. Kimberly, many thanks indeed. The Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps has said that it targeted the USS Lincoln carrier with 4 ballistic missiles. The United States has said that the Iranian attack did not impact the operation of the aircraft carrier, which continues its mission within the parameters of the campaign. Let's go live now to Iran's capital, Tehran. Al Jazeera's Mohammed Val is there. Tell us more about what the IRGC had to say, Mohammed.
Well, Rob, we're still waiting for more details from the IRGC. The thing they said is that 4 missiles have been launched at the Abraham Lincoln aircraft carrier in the Arabian Sea. but they did not give details about whether those rockets or those missiles have hit their targets. This is a part of the same message that has been reiterated over the last few days, the last couple of days, that Iran is going to retaliate, that it is going to hit strong, and that it is going to give a lesson, to deliver a lesson to the Americans and the Israelis, and also that it hasn't yet used all its force or the strongest elements or components of its defense facilities and forces and so on. So day by day we see bold strikes by the Iranian army and the Iranian Islamic Revolutionary Guard against targets, direct targets, because we have seen at the beginning of this campaign, we have seen them attacking bases in the Gulf region, but now they are hitting straight against aircraft carriers, and that's a new development in this campaign by the Iranians.
All right, Mohammed, for the moment, many thanks. Let's go back to Washington and Kimberly Halkett to get some reaction from there on what the U.S. military is saying about this.
Well, the U.S. military is not confirming the attacks on the U.S. Abraham Lincoln. And so as a result, we're getting conflicting and unverified reports. But the U.S. military official I've been speaking to has confirmed to me that this is very consistent with the fact that there is a desire in times of war to underplay the damage to your enemy. And so it's not surprising that we are not getting any detail about that in the statement from the U.S. Central Command, the not wanting to project to its enemy that they have suffered any sort of losses or any sort of damage. But again, as my colleague has confirmed, the Iranians have claimed that they have fired 4 ballistic missiles against the USS Abraham Lincoln and claimed that they have struck the Abraham Lincoln, even as the United States is not confirming the damage.
All right, Kimberly, many thanks indeed. Al Jazeera's White House correspondent Kimberly Halkett reporting live from Washington, D.C. Iran's president has spoken publicly for the first time since the killing of Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. He's vowed to follow in the footsteps of the supreme leader. Masoud Pezeshkian says the armed forces of Iran will continue to strike hard and destroy the military bases of its enemies.
Today, the Leadership Council has started its work, and with the help of God, it will continue in the footsteps of the Supreme Leader with strength. The armed forces of the Islamic Republic of Iran are striking the military bases of the enemy hard and will continue to do so. We will force them into despair. We pray to God Almighty to enable us to continue to march on this path, to establish justice.
Hey, what's up, 1461?
Back to Mohammed Val in Tehran. Tell us more about what the president and indeed the foreign minister had to say today.
The president, Rob, has paid tribute to the supreme leader that has passed, and he said that the Iranians are adamant to go into the footsteps of his instructions and the path that he drew for this country. So that's a premise and a principle according to which Iran is going to act during the remainder of this campaign. That means there is no bowing down, there is no giving in, there is no giving up in this campaign until Iran defends itself and shows the enemy that it is going to continue and that it is going to defend itself and that it is going to give one of the strongest lessons the history has ever seen to its enemies, according to the rhetoric coming from the leaders. Also, we have heard Ali Larijani, the security chief of the country, talking in the same vein, in the same manner. All of the leaders that are alive, that have survived the assassinations that happened since the beginning of this campaign, are talking in the same voice and reassuring the Iranian people that there will be no let-up in this war, in this campaign, until Iran takes revenge and defends itself. And also a message by the foreign minister and all the other leaders to the neighbors in the Gulf region that there is no ill intent against them, there is no intention of aggression against them, but Iran considers that the basis from which those attacks are launched by the Americans are no longer territories of those countries. They are territories that belong to the Americans, and Iran has the right to strike back against those areas and those bases.
Al Jazeera's Mohammed Val reporting live from Iran's capital, Tehran. Many thanks indeed, Mohammed. Let's take you now to Ramallah in the occupied West Bank. Al Jazeera's Noor Odeh is there and can tell us more about this Iranian attack on the central city of Beit Shemesh, in which at least 9 people were killed, Noor.
Yes, Adrian, let me just start by the latest news lines coming out of Israel. The Israeli army announcing a new wave of airstrikes on Tehran just in the past 2 minutes while you were speaking to Mohammed there in Tehran. This is part of Israel's announcement earlier today from the Minister of Defense that there would be no let-up on the strikes on Tehran, that Israel would continue to strike at strategic assets of the Iranian government, of the chain of command, of the infrastructure that keeps the government in power. Now, in Beit Shemesh, a town between west of Jerusalem and near Jaffa, or on the way to Jaffa on the coast, an Iranian missile struck. Buildings were damaged, one building completely collapsed, and at least 9 Israelis are now confirmed dead. The rescue workers are still continuing to look for survivors under the rubble. The sirens did not go off, and the Israeli military and authorities have announced that they will study why the air defenses did not work in Beit Shemesh. Now, of course, Israel's multi-layered air defense systems are not foolproof. They can knock down every Iranian missile that is launched against Israeli cities. We've seen that this time in Beit Shemesh, in Tel Aviv and in other cities. And we saw it in June as well when Israel launched that attack, that conflict against Iran. Iran can launch missiles, ballistic missiles and others, and strike at the heart of Israeli cities and cause a lot of damage, not just in the buildings, but to Israeli lives. So this is a point that will no doubt affect the image that the Israeli government is trying to portray, one of invincibility, one of being on top of things, of hurting the Iranian government, of working hard to topple the Iranian government.
Noor Odeh reporting live from Ramallah in the occupied West Bank. Many thanks, Noor. Dan Perry is an Israeli political analyst and the former chief editor of the Associated Press in Europe, the Middle East and Africa. He joins us now from Tel Aviv. As Noor was saying there, Israel's military is investigating why its air defense system failed to intercept those missiles. It is a rare failure, though, for Israel and its missile defense system.
Yeah, the system is not invulnerable, it's not impregnable, but it is very, very effective. They knew all along that some missiles would get through, and it really is just a matter of luck, how much damage they cause. I suppose that the air defenses are clustered most intensively around strategic targets, which tragically is not the small town of Beit Shemesh in central Israel. So we see what happened there. Obviously, that event, from an Israeli perspective, is tragic, but it doesn't change the bigger picture, which is that the skies over Israel have been largely protected. I think the percentage of missiles that have been successfully intercepted is well into the high 90%. Whereas Israel has succeeded in controlling the skies over its target cities in Iran. These two facts remain, and they are, I believe, the essence of the narrative from an Israeli perspective.
Did Israel, you think, anticipate the ferocity of Iran's response?
I think they realized that the response would have a ferocity that is commensurate with the degree of success they themselves have in their effort to decapitate the regime. It's almost unbelievable if you look at the success the Israelis and the Americans have had in their goal of assassinating not only the supreme leader, but a vast swath of the military and political leadership of the country. And they did this in the space of minutes on Saturday morning. I think it was clear that if that succeeds, the result on the parts of what is left of the regime would not be an immediate surrender and rolling over, but rather an effort to project resilience. They knew it, and therefore it's no surprise, neither in the case of Israel, nor in the case of America's allies across the Persian Gulf so close to Iran, nor in the effort to close off the Straits of Hormuz, etc.
You say it was their goal. Was removing the supreme leader always Israel's strategic objective? It was never about removing Iran's nuclear capability.
I think, an intelligent person can maintain more than one thought at the same time. Israel's goal was to eliminate the threat from Iran. But for sure, they always hoped that the regime would eventually fall. And there's always a question in geopolitics whether it's legitimate for one country to compel a change of regime in another. And for Israel being so clearly a
Hey, what's up,
geopolitical
Harry? How
rival
you
of
doing?
Iran,
Thank you for
it was
joining.
always going to be seen as illegitimate. So they had hoped the Americans would step in and sort of their on again, off again role as global cop and say enough is enough. And Iran gave everyone that excuse to apply the principle of responsibility to protect, R2P, by massacring thousands and, by all accounts, tens of thousands of its own people in the protests that erupted in January. Israel's issue was the nuclear program, the missiles, and the militias that threaten Israel. All of that with a meta-narrative of Khamenei himself and the rest of the leadership of the Islamic Republic constantly predicting Israel's doom, suggesting they would bring about Israel's demise. All this stuff did not sit well with Israel. Did they not also want to eliminate the regime? Of course they did. But for the longest time, I don't think they dared think that they could achieve the kind of success that we see that they have had since Saturday. And indeed, if you examine history, I am having trouble coming up with an analog.
You talk about success, Dan. What does success actually look like as far as Israel is concerned? Because, of course, removing Iran's leadership is not the same as stabilizing the country.
Yeah, and what a lot of people may not realize is that Israelis, and you may think this is naive, really believe that Iranians are their friends, and they would like for Iran to be a stable, prosperous, and democratic country. Of course, the range of possible outcomes here is broad, and on the absolute positive end of it, the result is an Iran that is democratic, chooses democratically to be friendly to the West and to Israel and to cease interfering in the region, and becomes a massively positive player in the global landscape. And then everyone's happy in Israel and probably in much of the world, and I would dare say probably in the Arab world as well. Right now, the least good option in that scale is still not so terrible from Israel's perspective and America's, which is that the Iranian regime has been so significantly chastened that they'll think again very carefully before being so indifferent to the demands of the West. I suppose I'm not being fully precise. The worst case scenario is that the regime doubles down on aggression towards the region, towards Israel, and you just have more and more wars. But I have to think, and this aligns with the history of Iran at various junctures. Even the Islamic Republic knows how to be pragmatic enough to choose someone or to place in positions of power people who would present some version
Hello,
of
Scott's
moderation or
Media. How you
pragmatism.
doing?
And my
Thank you for
guess
joining.
is at the end of the day, when the dust settles here, Iran, in its effort to preserve
175 people in the
the
building. Double
status
tap
quo,
the
or more
screen.
accurately put, the
Chat.
Islamic Republic, in its
Double
effort
tap the
to
screen
wait
for me.
out the war, somehow
It would be
survive, and by
well
its very
appreciated.
survival declare victory, they will
175 people.
probably
Everybody
choose
double tap the screen.
non-aggression in the short term. Could be wrong, but that would be my best estimate.
Dan, many thanks indeed. Dan Perry there in Tel Aviv. Iranians poured into the streets of Tehran to mourn after the assassination of Ayatollah Ali Khamenei.
What you mean, Fridge? Supporting U.S. troops dying for Israel. What do you mean? We're just getting the information, Fridge. That's all we doing. We're getting the information and we putting it out there so the people can understand. We lost 3 U.S. soldiers. We lost 3 U.S. soldiers today. Rest in peace to the soldiers. Well, I mean, we just getting information, friends. I appreciate you for joining. Please hit the like button so we can get more people in here. You know, we're just reacting. That's it. That's all we're doing. We putting the information out there so the people can see what's going on. And, you know, everybody got an opinion. So was war really necessary, though? I mean, maybe not. Maybe not, but hey, I mean, everybody got an opinion. What do you think, Scott Media? What do you think? Yeah, we lost 3 soldiers. You know, sucks. My daughter is in training right now in the Army. She's in basic training. My daughter's in basic training in the military right now. So, I mean, we got to know what's going on in the world and in America. I mean, the U.S. will never leave the Middle East. Well, I don't think so either. You know, I don't think so either. So let's keep going, chat. Appreciate y'all for joining. I am your host, the one and only Stock Sniper. And, you know, a lot been going on. A lot has been happening these last 24 hours, chat. A lot. So we just found out about 15 minutes ago that we lost 3 soldiers today and 5 more wounded, you know, in this war. And we don't know what's going to happen because this Halimati guy, you know, in the Muslim world, from my understanding, they look at him like he's Jesus Christ. So it's a lot unfolding every second when it comes to what's going on in the Middle East. So let's keep on going, chat. I appreciate y'all for joining me. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and cut on all notification bells because Donald Trump will be asking questions a little bit later. So this live won't be long. This live won't be long, you know, so we can react to what's going on in America. Keep sending your kids to die for Israel. Well, the thing is, cringe. You know, when your kid wants to fight for the country, I come from a line of military soldiers, a line of them. My grandfather, World War I veteran. My dad, Vietnam. So, I mean, it's when you or your kid goes and serve the country, it's a great thing, you know. And if your kid wants to go to the military, I mean, it's a good thing. It's a good thing to fight for the country, fight for what you believe in. You know, it's a good thing. So let's continue on, chat. Appreciate y'all for joining. All comments are welcome. This is the Freedom of Speech channel. Let's keep going.
Despite attacks in the Iranian capital, thousands of people came out to remember their assassinated supreme leader, many inconsolable in their grief, holding portraits of Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. The country will observe 40 days of mourning. Let's bring in our guests. Hassan Ahmadian is an associate professor at the University of Tehran. He joins us now from Iran's capital. From Gettysburg in Pennsylvania, Jeffrey Feltman, a former UN Under-Secretary General for Political Affairs. Good to have you with us, gentlemen. Let's start with you, Hassan. Has the position of the Supreme Leader been weakened now? Will whoever succeeds Khamenei enjoy the same authority, the same legitimacy, the same unwavering support, not of the people perhaps, but of the Revolutionary Guard?
I think, you know, the Supreme Leader who was assassinated yesterday galvanized support over the decades But before that, before becoming the supreme leader, the institution of the supreme leadership had public support and support of the IRGC. And I think, and the state institutions, not only about the IRGC. And so I think that institution still has that backing, the solid public base that you see in the streets of Tehran and other cities in the country. Of course, there are those who are opposing, but there is this also solid base that you usually don't hear about in Western mainstream media that backs the supreme leadership. And I think whomever becomes the supreme leader moving forward, especially if he's capable of bringing people from across the spectrum to back him in a middle ground sort of politics, he would enjoy a lot of support, not only from the state institutions, including the IRGC, but also from the public base of the system itself.
Jeffrey Feltman, what's your take on what's happened over the last 36 hours? I'll put the same question to you as I put to Dan Perry a few moments ago. What would success at this point look like for Washington?
This is very difficult to answer because President Trump himself has not said what success would look like. His introduction to the American people for this military conflict, this war, epic fury, was a list of grievances, a list being answered that Trump listed for us. I mean, he didn't go to Congress, he didn't go to the American public. So I think he's left all options open for when he would be bored with this, or decide it's done, and find a way to declare victory, to declare success. But from the Iranian perspective, the Islamic Republic of Iran only needs to survive for it to be able to say that it succeeded. Even if it's degraded, all it has to do is survive to say we succeeded. Right. And I'm not sure what Trump was going to say his success is.
Hassan, I see you shaking your head. How resilient is the Iranian political system right now after losing so many senior figures?
One that the Islamic Republic need to survive to declare victory is an American and Israeli talking point. It's not really the matter here. Actually, the Iranians are going hard against the United States bases and against Israel to force them to think twice and thrice before moving against Iran, moving forward, because the previous war taught the Iranians that short of inflicting much pain against the aggressors, they might come again and threaten the country, as they did with their new of leadership, which is the president, head of the judiciary, and also one member of the Guardian Council. It's basically has taken over the two duties of the supreme leader. Moving forward tomorrow, the day after, days after, taking into account the situation that the country is in based on the war that is waged on the country and its defenses against that, the aggression, it's basically will take time for them to appoint the new supreme leader. Internally, business is as usual. It's not a chaotic situation as may be portrayed outside. Basically, those who are in the street are demonstration to support the system, not against it.
Jeffrey, under what legal doctrine can the killing of a sitting head of state be justified?
Look, I don't support this war. I want to be clear. I also don't support Ali Khamenei. I was actually at a meeting with him when I was a UN official and heard the diatribe. I mean, business as usual for Khamenei means murder, proxies, destabilizing other countries, trying to interfere. But I do not support this war. I do not believe that Iran posed an imminent threat to the United States that would justify war, nor do I believe that the President of the United States followed proper legal, domestic legal, let alone international legal proceedings in order to launch this war. So I do not support this war. But when I hear about business as usual in Iran, I'm thinking about business as usual back in January when thousands of people were murdered simply for trying to raise their voices in protest against the regime. When I hear business as usual, I think of the IRGC enriching itself, using sanctions, in fact, in order to enrich itself in mafioso type methods of controlling the economy at the expense of the welfare of the Iranian people. So I don't support this war, but I think that the Islamic Republic of Iran does not have an answer to the grievances of its own population that came out in such force in late December and in January. But I agree with Saeed Hassan from Tehran that there is resilience, and I think that probably President Trump has underestimated the resilience in the system. The system may have lost the legitimacy of most of the population of Iran, but there's an interest of those in the regime that reinforces the strength of the regime itself. There are layers and layers of, well, I should say the backbench, as we would say, is quite deep. And so I have no doubt, or I have little doubt, that the Islamic regime would collapse because of this aggression. But I also think that when this is over, the Islamic regime has no way of addressing the legitimate grievances of its own population.
Jeffrey Feltman, Hassan Ahmadian, many thanks indeed for being with us. We're following two developing stories this hour. The U.S. Military Central Command has posted on X in the past few minutes that 3 service members have been killed and 5 are seriously wounded. And a U.S. official has told Al Jazeera that the aircraft carrier, the USS Abraham Lincoln, was attacked by Iranian missiles, but they didn't reach the ship and caused no damage. Al Jazeera's Mohammed Val is in Tehran. We'll be speaking to him first, or in just a moment. But first, let's go to Alan Fisher in Washington. Alan, our chief U.S. correspondent, what is the U.S. saying about both of these events?
Well, what they're confirming is that 3 service people have been killed. 5 have received shrapnel injuries and concussion. They are being treated and returned to work. They're not giving any more detail about where the 3 servicemen that were killed, 3 service personnel, we should say, were killed. There's a reason for that, because that gives the Iranians intelligence that they might be able to use against wherever those US service personnel were targeted. There was a rumour going round social media for a good hour or so, claiming that the Abraham Lincoln had been struck. That, of course, is one of the US aircraft carriers in the Gulf. CENTCOM was moved to deny that was the case, said that missiles were fired, but they fell well short of the aircraft carrier, which continues to launch aircraft towards targets in Iran. But this, of course, is not news that the United States would want to hear. They were very pleased that on the first day of operations, there were no reported casualties. At this time, that changes the whole perspective, because we've seen Donald Trump campaign on being the no-war president. We've seen J.D. Vance say similar things. And the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, was very much against a war in Iran until she wasn't. So now they have to explain to the American people that at least 3 service personnel will be making their way back to Dover Air Force Base as casualties of Operation Epic Fury.
Alan, many thanks. Let's go to Tehran then. Al Jazeera's Mohammed Val is there. What is Iran saying about this attack on the USS Lincoln?
Yes, Rob, the Iranian Islamic Revolutionary Guard says it has launched four missiles against the Abraham Lincoln aircraft carrier in the Arabian Sea. So that's basically the news line that we have received from them. They did not give details about whether they have hit the targets or whether they have killed some Americans. But it is in the context of these, very strong messages from the Iranian leadership that Iran is not going to pull any punches in this war, and it is going to directly hit against targets, against any facilities, any U.S. forces that strike against Iran, whether they are on the sea, whether they are on land. They have said today that they can't reach the U.S. soil, but any military, any U.S. or Israeli military that is in the vicinity or in the reach of Iranian missiles will be hit, whether it is in Arab countries, in the Gulf region, or in Israel itself, or in the high seas, or in the neighboring areas as well. So, I mean, Iranians are following their promises with action, with fulfillment, and they are promising more action and stronger and tougher in the next few days as this war escalates, because they are promising their people that they'll not be giving in and they will not be crushed. They will crush the enemy and give it a strong lesson that it has never seen in its history.
Let's go back to Alan in Washington. Is this bad news for President Donald Trump politically, Alan?
Yeah, we saw people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, who of course was one of his big supporters, being very critical of the war and saying that the worst thing that could happen would be for American service members to be killed. Donald Trump, as I said, campaigned very vigorously on being the anti-war president, saying that Kamala Harris was likely to lead the United States into a war with Iran.
Christine Stevenson, stay safe. You stay safe as well. Thank you.
And that could possibly start World War III. Now he's got to explain to the American people why American servicemen died. He accepted that that was going to be a possibility.
If you don't know, Chad, the word is Trump going to be talking to America sometime today and taking questions. So he's going to have to explain to us. We lost 3 soldiers. He's going to have to explain to us what's going on. So make sure you subscribe to the channel and put on the notification bell, because we will be going live and reacting to when Trump comes on and tell us his side of this story, because we lost 3 soldiers. He's going to have to explain. He's going to have to explain this to us, because he told us no wars and all these things. So he's going to have to explain. We've lost 3 soldiers in 24 hours. So make sure you subscribe to the channel and drop a comment. Let me know what you think, because we will be going live soon as Donald Trump come on here. Everything I type disappears. Gander in flight. I don't see no comment by you, sir. So I don't know. But I see this one. Gander in flight. Everything I type disappears. I don't know. Nobody's blocking. Nobody. Unless you say something way out of line. This is the Freedom of Speech channel. F Trump. This is all wrong, bro. War always have losses. Nothing to explain. Well, a lot of people are upset, because he said no wars and things like that. So he's going to have to explain to the American people. That was my second comment. Okay. I haven't been receiving your comments, Gander in flight. I haven't. I see the ones you're commenting now. So I appreciate you for joining. Appreciate you for your opinion. Appreciate you. This is the Freedom of Speech channel, chat. So this stream is not going to be that long, because we're going to come back whenever Donald Trump come and address the world. So we're going to cut the stream kind of short. It used to be, usually the stream is kind of long when we are reacting to what's going on in America and what's going on in the world. But since Trump is going to come on and talk to us, we're going to cut this stream short and then come back when we get the time that Trump is going to come on and explain to us. So make sure you subscribe to the channel, because all opinions are welcome. All opinions are welcome. This is the Freedom of Speech channel. You can come over here and speak your opinion, because it's we the people. So make sure that you subscribe to the channel and cut on all your notifications. The 1973 War Powers Resolution. There are certain words you cannot say that will make the comment disappear. Click your comment and see if it says remove, then it's good. You can say the word Jew, but not much in a sentence. Okay, real life. Okay, appreciate y'all for joining me, chat. We got 173 people in the building. We need all 173 people to do us a favor and do two things. One, subscribe to the channel. Well, three things. One, subscribe to the channel. Two, hit that like button. And three, cut on all notifications so you know whenever we go live. It's freedom of speech, but the user can't control the words that are censored by Google. Yeah, that's right. That's why, chat, you can get your point across using your words the way you're supposed to, in an intelligent way. You know, you can't, YouTube is kind of sensitive on some things. So make sure when you are commenting that you are using sensible words. You ain't all, cussing and all that kind of stuff. Be able to type and explain yourself in an intelligent way, if that makes sense. Appreciate y'all, chat. Let's keep going. Right now, everybody, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit on the notification bell, and like the video. We got 50 likes. Appreciate everybody that's double tapping the screen. All you got to do is double tap my cap. It say the Stock Sniper. Double tap that, and it'll activate the like button. Let's go.
When he made his video announcement just hours after the operation was launched, he said that there could be casualties. That is a consequence of war. But Donald Trump, when the planning was going on for this, I'm led to believe that something he kept saying was he wanted it to be like Venezuela, or he wanted it to be like the attack on Iran in the summer, which, of course, were both hugely successful military operations, but radically different from what is being planned here. Donald Trump has talked about how this operation will go on as long as he sees fit and until it achieves the goals.
Tel Aviv and now in Bishevich, we have lost a lot of people and loved ones, and I express all my condolences. And we wish a speedy recovery to all the injured. We are currently in a battle. We are using all our means and all the capabilities of our armies in an unprecedented way so that we can guarantee our safety and our existence. And with the help of the United States and our friend, the President of the United States, Trump, I've been able to do what I've tried to do since 40 years in order to bomb this regime.
That was a pre-recorded statement from Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu talking after an Iranian attack on the city of Beit Shemesh, in which at least 9 people were killed. Let's get more from Al Jazeera's Noor Odeh, who's in Ramallah in the occupied bank. And we joined that a few seconds into that statement. What else did the Prime Minister say, Noor?
Well, the Israeli Prime Minister, Adrian, really focused on the message that assassinating the supreme leader of Iran, Ali Khamenei, was a very important success, that this is a promise that he had made to the Israeli people to keep them safe, to push back against the Iranian government and the Islamic Revolution, and he is delivering. But he did also admit that these were difficult days, especially especially given the news out of Beit Shemesh, where 9 people are confirmed dead, but the rescue workers are still going through the rubble of the building that was impacted, and there are fears that people are still trapped under that rubble. So the casualty toll could rise. Benjamin Netanyahu acutely aware that he can capitalize on the support and on the win, if you will, of assassinating Khamenei, of taking out up to 40 commanders in Iran's leadership. But that can only take him so far. He would have to answer to Israel's ability to defend its citizens, to Israel's stockpile of air defense missiles, to its ability to sustain the financial losses of declaring a state of emergency and keeping people in their homes, not in their workplaces. So this is one more message, the third or fourth, I believe, in the past day or so since Israel launched these strikes, trying to communicate with the Israeli public to keep up that image, that posture of Israel being victorious, Israel being superior to its enemies, for lack of a better word, and to Israel being on the road to achieving its desired goal of toppling the Iranian regime. Of course, almost at the same time, we heard from the former chief of staff of the Israeli army, Gadi Eisenkot, who said Israel cannot topple the Iranian government just by bombarding it. And this is really where the Israeli opposition will capitalize. Nobody is going to be opposing a strike on Iran, but people will question Netanyahu's methods.
Noor, many thanks indeed. Let's go back to Washington and our White House correspondent, Kimberly Halkett. Alan Fisher was telling us just a few moments ago, before we broke away for that statement from Benjamin Netanyahu, about how politically the deaths of 3 U.S. servicemen will be bad news for the president. He's heading back to Washington later on Sunday. Are we expecting to hear from him?
So far, the U.S. president and the White House have not released any updates that would indicate the U.S. president is scheduled to speak to the American public. What he has been doing thus far has been to project his statements on his social media platform, Truth Social. Not only that 8-minute video when Operation Epic Fury began, but he's also done follow-up posts where he has threatened Iran, should it retaliate, that it would be met with a force never seen before. So the U.S. is clearly projecting a message of deterrence. But at the same time,
they said
Alan
earlier
is
that
right.
he was going to
There's
come
no
talk
question
to us,
that
Chad.
the U.S. president is going to have to explain now the first casualties as a result of what the United States and Donald Trump has been projecting. That has been an operation that has been defensive in nature and preemptive. In other words, what we do know is that the U.S. president, in his 8-minute video, tried to prepare Americans that there would be loss of life, not only saying we may have casualties, that often happens in war, but building the case that this was necessary in order to protect the United States, even as the United States has not offered any evidence of an imminent threat from Iran. The U.S. president justifying Operation Epic Fury by saying that the service members are risking their lives to ensure Americans will never be threatened by a nuclear-armed Iran. As we know, this operation came as the United States claimed it was simply negotiating with Iran to limit its nuclear program. We were told that before this military operation was launched, that peace was in reach. But now, given the fact that the U.S. has given up on peace, at least for now, there are going to be questions from the American public about whether or not there was enough time given, given the fact that there have now been American lives that have been lost.
Kimberly, many thanks indeed. Mohanad Saloon is an assistant professor in international politics at the Doha Institute for Graduate Studies. Has the US and Israel underestimated the ferocity of Iran's response to these attacks?
I don't think so. I think both parties are prepared for what is going on now. I mean, on the US part, they have been preparing for this for months, and probably since last June. And we can see that they have put in place all the weapons and all the military equipment that are required to hit Iran. And on the other side, we can see that Iran, even though its leadership has been decapitated,
Brad,
and this is the second time. Let's
too
not
bad
forget
the
that
last
a
administration
big
let
chunk
in
of his
millions of
leadership
third
was
world
decapitated
turds.
last June. They kept
Might
going
just
on. They
keep
have a
an eye out
strategy
for
of
retaliation.
widening the conflict, trying to bring in
Yeah, I
GCC
agree with
countries
that,
such as
Brad.
Qatar, UAE, and
Real
other
life.
countries. So we see that they are
2849,
going on
yeah.
as if they are going on
But there are
autopilot,
also American citizens
in their
Iran,
response
dual
to the
citizens
U.S.-Israeli attack.
that
All
may
right, let me put
perish
this
as
to you.
well
Are we
as
effectively
American
now
soldiers,
in a
as he
region-wide
warned
war,
in his
even if
address?
no one's actually calling that yet?
Not yet. Not yet. I mean, once the GCC
Yeah,
countries
that's true too,
respond
real life.
to Iranian attacks, I think then we can call it a regional attack. I mean, just before
Michael
coming to the
Johnson,
studio, I
where's
was
Trump's
watching the
son?
news on Al Jazeera and other channels, and also on social
Why
media. It
can't
seems
they
that the
fight daddies
Iranians
made up
have attacked
wars?
some, if you like, economic hubs of the UAE. And the same thing happened in Bahrain. So if these countries would coordinate and respond, then this is a regional conflict.
Okay. Mohammed, stay
What's
there. I'll be
up,
back with you in just a moment.
85? Thank
First,
you for
Iran
joining.
continues to strike U.S. assets across the Gulf, targeting
Great
several
Iranian
military
people.
bases. Smoke was
Thank
seen
you, President
in
Trump.
the industrial area in Qatar's
Bibi.
capital, Doha. Strikes also hit Bahrain, Jordan, Oman, Kuwait, and Saudi Arabia.
Breaking
Attacks
news.
have been reported on airports,
posted that they
residential
have
buildings, and hotels.
it,
Shelter-in-place
the USS
alerts
Lincoln.
have been issued to citizens across the region. Well, plumes of smoke were seen coming from one of Dubai's main commercial airports. Bloomberg has reported that the logistics company DP World has suspended operations at Jebel
about
Ali
Iran
port.
strikes
Elsewhere,
at
2
3
Iranian
Eastern
drones targeting Al Salam military base in Abu Dhabi were dealt with,
Oil
according to the
tankers
Defense
also hit
Ministry.
in the
The
Strait
UAE
of-
says that at least 3 people have been killed, and it's intercepted more than 500 missiles
making
and
noise.
drones. Oman's Maritime Security Center says an oil tanker has been attacked in the Strait of Hormuz. Several crew members have reportedly been injured. Separately, there's been another incident reported north of Muscat,
See, Jay
where
just
a
told
vessel
us
was
what
struck
just
with an
happened.
unknown
Shout out
projectile.
to Jay.
That's after 2 drones hit Oman's commercial port of Duqm. Hundreds of ships have dropped anchor in the region. Mohammed, how vulnerable are not only US bases and allies across the Gulf in the coming hours, but vessels sailing through the Strait of Hormuz?
Very much.
Hold on,
very
Chad,
much
I think
so.
I'm gonna
But
move
I
it
don't
over
think
here.
Iran would go for that. That would
See
be.
what's going on
I
over
don't
here.
think that it
is immediate. Some call this aggression, we call it necessity. We call it survival.
This
To
is
the
a
brave
chess game, not
soldiers
checkers.
of the US,
We are a
the
long
IDF,
way from a stable
our Air
outcome
Force,
from these military
intelligence and
actions.
security services,
Trump will
you
either
are
look
defending
like a
our people
genius
with
or a
courage and
fool
resolve.
a year from
You
now.
stand like lions.
What's
Our
up,
entire
Stuart?
nation stands behind you. To the brave people of Iran, we stand with you. We admire your courage. Our war is not with you, but with the murderous regime that continues to plan attacks against us and has crushed the Iranian people for almost 50 years. History has taught us what happens when declared threats are ignored, when leaders openly call for our destruction and build the means to carry it out. We do not dismiss it. We do not gamble with our survival. We act. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador. Thank you. It's Pamela Falk from U.S. News and World Report. Thank you, Ambassador, for the briefing. Since you're talking about regime change, can you confirm whether or not the Iran supreme leader has been killed, and what happens next, if so?
We will continue to target the leadership of this radical regime, and we will do whatever necessary to enable the right conditions for a new future for the people of Iran and stability for the region. Thank you.
How long is this going to go on?
As long as it will take to achieve the goals I just mentioned. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Ambassador, the Prime Minister told the Iranian people that he will let them know when it's time for them to come on the streets. What's the end goal?
Hey, what's up, Sean?
I think everyone sees what's happening on the ground and understand that the time for the Iranian people to take control of the future is very soon. Thank you.
Mr. Ambassador,
That was the very latest from the Israeli ambassador to the United Nations. We are also continuing to follow this breaking news that the U.S. military says 3 service members have been killed and 5 others seriously wounded since the operations began. They are the first.
What's up, Chad? How y'all doing? How y'all doing this morning? Hope everything doing well. We got 300 people in the building. I hope everybody's having a great, amazing morning. Right now, chat, if you just now joining, a lot has been going on. I need you to subscribe to the channel right now and hit that like button. As you come in, tune in, tapping in. What's up, everybody? Let me know how y'all doing. Let me know where you coming from. Let me know where you from. Chat, 300 people in the building. I need all 322 people to let me know where y'all from. Are y'all in America? Are y'all overseas? Please let me know where y'all from. After you hit that subscribe button and after you hit that like button, let me know, chat, where y'all from. I appreciate y'all for joining me. I appreciate y'all for joining me. I am your host, the one and only Stock Sniper, and we are reacting to military strikes on Iran by America and Israel. And if you don't know, America has lost 3 soldiers because of this war. Pittsburgh, Colorado, shout out to Colorado. Shout out to Pittsburgh. Shout out to California. What's up, what's up, what's up? Shout out to Pittsburgh. Shout out to Colorado, California. Appreciate y'all for joining. I am your host, the one and only Stock Sniper, and we are reacting to the last 24 hours. If you don't know, America struck Iran. Israel and America struck Iran. And they unalived a major figure in the Muslim world. He's real major, guys. The leader of Iran. He's real major in the Muslim world. A lot of people say that khamenei is like Jesus is, what Jesus is to the Christians, that khamenei is like that in the Muslim world. He's a high level Muslim figure. So we need to educate ourselves and understand what's going on. So I appreciate y'all for joining me, everybody. Appreciate y'all. Let's keep going.
We are continuing to follow a number of breaking news developments as the Operation Epic Fury continues. A live look here from Jerusalem, Israel, as Israel has announced.
What's up, Northside? What's up, Lawrenceville, Pennsylvania? Sean, let's see. North side of Pittsburgh. Shout out to Pittsburgh.
Your advisor. And Paul, we appreciate you joining us here on Live Now from Fox.
I was over by the old jail yesterday.
And Paul, if you just wanted to unmute your microphone, that way we can hear you. But I did want to share with our viewers who are just joining us right now the very latest from Central Command stating that 3 U.S. service members have been killed in action, 5 seriously wounded as part of Operation Epic Fury, several others sustaining minor shrapnel injuries and concussions. CENTCOM also stating that this situation is incredibly fluid as we continue.
All new subscribers and old, we appreciate y'all for rocking with the channel. We appreciate you. All new subscribers and old subscribers. We love and we appreciate y'all for rocking with the channel. Everybody that come rock with us, and tell us a lot. There's a lot of smart people that come over here and rock with us in this channel. And we love and we appreciate y'all.
The conflict here is a war in the Middle East. And hats off to the U.S. and Israel for leading what has been an incredible intelligence operation. When you think about this, there was a daylight strike on leadership in Iran, and that was largely because of intelligence showing a congregation of significant military leadership. And it was quite successful. Now we're going into the next phase. The U.S. wants to have absolute air supremacy. supremacy throughout so we can continue to contain. But we also got to watch out for the proxies. There are significant concerns about what the Houthis may do, the Shias in Iraq, Hezbollah as well. And the other part of this is also what's critical is our adversaries across the globe are watching our every move. You have China right now, you have Russia, you have North Korea, right? Iran used to be part of that circle, and today it may absolutely be removed. And what's important right now is both Israel and the U.S. through President Trump are really calling for the Iranian people to stand up, to go into their streets, to take their government over, and to really bring this into a new world for Iran to work with the free world.
All right, so you just shared a lot there. Let's start off with, you know, the concerns about the terrorist organizations who may feel emboldened in light of the developments that happened in Iran. When we're talking about from the intelligence perspective, no doubt there are a lot of high-level talks with the concern that some of these sleeper cells or terrorist attacks could be activated or could come about. What are the discussions happening right now with that a real reality?
Did y'all hear that, chat? She just said terror cells might be activated. Somebody just made a comment about that earlier in the chat. Where you at? I got to find that commenter. Where you at? Where you at? I can't. All the way up. Where you at? I'm trying to find the comment, chat. But yeah, she just said there's a possibility that terror cells will be activated in America. It's a possibility, chat, that terror cells could be activated. We already know, like the guy said in the chat, the last administration let a lot of people in the country. So there are a lot of terror cells all over America right now. And that lady just said the terror cells could be activated. What we must understand is that guy, Hezbollah, was major high level in the Muslim community, very high level. A lot of people say that they put Hezbollah on the level of Jesus. So we got to see what's going to happen.
I think one of the biggest concerns right now is the Strait of Hormuz. It is a small choke point where so much shipping comes through our economy, for the world's economy. And so Iran knows that. Our proxies that are against us know that. If they drop one mine in there, one obstacle, it can create a massive economic turmoil. So I'm pretty confident the U.S. and our allies are paying strict attention to the Strait of Hormuz to keep those shipping lanes the best they can open, but also looking for soft targets, not only in the Middle East, but potentially around the world. This is the first time where our adversaries have really seen Iran where taken out the supreme leader, taken out significant military on the back of their heels, where right now Israel and the U.S. are celebrating these initial first strikes. Our adversaries don't like that. There's still death to America, death to Israel in the streets of Iran. However, you do have a number of civilian groups standing up, not only in Iran, but in America and others, really talking about the success so far. But we are so in the beginning infancy stages with much more to see to come.
And Paul, I did want to share with our viewers, if they haven't seen these before, these are some of the videos, the photos.
BZ Rice Cake. What is pure brain rot? What are you talking about? Explain to the chat. BZ Rice Cake. This is pure brain rot. Explain a little bit more.
I should say, from, President Trump, as all of this was happening, speaking with his cabinet members, his advisors, all the high-level individuals, as those strikes were occurring. From this standpoint, what are the ongoing discussions that are very likely happening as President Trump? We see Vice President J.D. Vance there in the Situation Room in Washington, D.C., President Trump at his Mar-a-Lago estate and that facility right there. But as they're looking ahead, President Trump is stating that Operation Epic Fury will be days, if not weeks long. This is just the beginning as they really want to make sure that it is mission accomplished. What are those discussions taking place right now?
Yeah, what's great about that photograph is you saw Marco Rubio there. It's a really signal to the world that it's not just military. We have our State Department operations, and those two need to work collectively together to make sure that what happens is going to be successful for the region. My concern is that the UN, look, we're going to see initial sort of support, not from the UN, but from our allies. But as we know historically, we've seen it time and time again, as the days or weeks, or if this goes into months, we're going to begin to see the UN and others turn against, I think, our efforts. And that's why it's so important that we remain unified. We talk about the successes and why the world will be better off without a violent Iran that has the capability with nuclear tactical weapons or beyond in the years to come. For the future of our country, the Middle East, and the world, this is historic. From the 1979 Iran history, we look at where we are today. We are living one of the most critical moments, and how we succeed or as a world fail will really tell us how we go forward as a country in securing the Middle East for the future.
And Paul, you're talking about how we're in a critical moment in time, a really seminal moment in time. Can you talk about the timing of Operation Epic Fury itself and why it was so essential to have that happen now?
Yeah, it really was. So these things don't happen, overnight. Certainly, we have 2 carrier strike groups out there. You have our 5th Fleet in Bahrain, and just 124 miles from Iran. But what's critical to think about this from a military intelligence perspective
if I'm not mistaken.
You have Mossad, which is really the critical intel arm, equivalent to our CIA in many levels, watching every single footstep of the Iranian regime. And so what we saw was a daylight opportunity
if that was to happen,
where they
I
were
hope
congregated.
Not,
Trump has already given Iran the red line.
Yes,
we saw that
Johnson
they were not at all truly coming to the table.
Would be
and
the
this was
new
an
president.
Opportunity to take out significant military
that
leadership,
was to happen.
which we have done. And so if you look at 24 hours, yes, the devastating loss of 3 American service members.
That's right, Sean Chapman.
But the totality of where this mission is today,
whoever you believe in, and protect
really
your family, and be aware of your surroundings.
Israel and the United
That's
States
a fact,
work collectively together. This would have been hard
Chapman.
to imagine a few years ago where we are today. And this is going to be a long road.
Thank you for that comment,
the
Sean
American
Chapman.
people and the free world watching this, that this is not going to be a success overnight, that there's going to be challenges in the weeks and months and years ahead.
We got to keep
really
pushing that because
who steps into the
a lot of people ain't really thinking about it like
that country.
And, you mentioned one part of this stunning operation, the fact that this was during daylight hours, which is rare, but also the fact that they knew where the Supreme Leader was hiding. Can you talk about just the effort that the intelligence community put forth to be able to have this success?
That's why I'm going to be saying that.
Sure, and much of this intel will probably be declassified
I'm going to be saying that every
but
day.
when you look at this,
wherever
human
you at,
intelligence,
there's a lot of events going on.
Again, it's basically, if you think of the CIA, it's their arm.
There's a lot of events going on right now,
all throughout the Middle East, and they've been extremely successful.
In a lot of places in America, it's a lot of events. Where I'm at right now, the rodeo is going on. You got the cheerleading championships going on. It's a lot going on in Houston right now. So we got to understand that the high level of the threat, because like another person said in the comment section, the last administration let a lot of people over here, chat. And that lady just told us there are sleeper cells basically in every city all over America. And what Sean Chapman just said, we got to keep that in mind, and we got to say that to friends and family every single day. At the same time, America is the land of the free, home of the brave, and you can't be scared to stay in the house, because that's what America is about. See, chat, what we got to understand, the terrorists, they don't like our freedoms. They don't like that. They want us scared and stuck in a house. They want us scared and stuck in a house. Live your life. Live your life as an American, but be aware. Stay on a pivot. Keep your head on a swivel at all times. And this is not to scare nobody. This is not exaggeration. It's true. So I'm going to be saying this every single day. On the walk down, I'm going to be talking about it. When I go live, I'm going to be talking about it. I need everybody to understand that attack, whatever you think about it, that guy, that Iran leader was big time. A lot of people looked at him the same as like Jesus. So we got to remember that in the Muslim community, that guy was so high level that a lot of people looked at him in the same way as Christians look at Jesus. You know, we got to understand that. So we got to protect our families. We got to protect our friends. We can't be, and this is very important, chat. We can't worry about bullshit and bubblegum. We can't worry about the mess and the gossip. We got to worry about what's going on in the world, what's going on in America. That's why it's very, very important. Like Sean Chapman said, it's very, very important. And we got to remember that. That's why you got to stay connected. You got to stay connected to this channel. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit on the notification bell so you know when we go live and we talk about and react to real life situations. This is the Freedom of Speech channel, and I am your host, the one and only Stock Sniper. So I'm going to end it on what Sean said. I'm going to end it on that, chat, because we're coming back when they let us know. Because word is Trump's supposed to speak and take questions. So we will be back. Like Sean said, pray to whoever you believe in and protect your family and be aware of your surroundings. That right there is the message of this live. I appreciate Sean Chapman for coming over here all the time and always saying something that we can take with us. We can't worry about bullshit and bubblegum. We got to worry about what's really going on. And you gotta teach it to your kids and grandkids. And then you gotta come and tell it to the world so we can all be prepared for whatever. So with that being said, I love and I appreciate y'all. If you have not subscribed to the channel, make sure you subscribe to the channel. A lot of information, a lot of smart people come and let us know and give us things to think about. And we got to remember that. So with that being said, I love and I appreciate y'all. Make sure you subscribe to the channel right now and hit on the notification bell because we're going live again soon as the government come and tell us something. So with that being said, chat, I love and I appreciate y'all. To the next one, I'm out. I love y'all, chat.